So we are live. We're live on Facebook, and we're live here with Becky. Becky is in Ghana. This is Becky Rogers. Some of you met her yesterday for the first time. Some of you have known her before. But she is joining us from the Family Restoration Center in Ghana. And she's going to be sharing with us a little bit about the project that she's working on right now, but she's also taken this time graciously to teach us more about story, how to change your story to change your life. So Becky, when you and I met, we had a wonderful experience just talking and talking and talking. And I remember just being so amazed by the stories that you were telling about what you had been able to accomplish and change in your life. And at that time in my life, I had a lot of things that I knew that I didn't want. And you helped me to start to see how I could stop focusing on the things that I didn't want and start focusing on the things that I did. And so will you talk a little bit about kind of how that process works and how you got started with it?
Yeah. So, the thing that's coming up for me right now to share. Yes. Okay. Sorry. Sometimes we have a little bit of lag in the delay. I always remind myself that it's a miracle this works at all, that we can talk across continents through the satellite. But can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you now. Maybe that delay is still delayed.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
There.
I can't see you as well. You're a little frozen.
Okay, sorry. Okay, sorry. Sometimes. Okay, sorry. Sometimes it's okay, but you can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, and you're frozen in a really cute waving position.
Oh, good. could be worse. One of the things that's coming to my mind to share with you right now is just that whatever you feed is going to grow, right? So whatever you think about is going to grow. I saw a meme the other day that said, if you complain a lot, you're going to have a lot more things to complain about. And if you are grateful a lot more, you'll have a lot more things to be grateful for. And I learned a lot of this, and I practiced it years and years ago when I had a mentor who was very influential in my life. And then our ways kind of parted for a period of time. And I forgot to do it. I forgot to be conscious about it. And so it was interesting to see how quickly my life fell in the toilet, pretty much, just from not being consciously aware of what I was doing, what I was saying, what I was thinking about, and what I was focusing on. Just by letting that slip, everything slipped. And I think probably most of us have had that experience. So it's like, these are principles that are tried and true. This is not the first time we've heard them. But the trick is in the practical application, right? Because we just forget, and then it falls. And even now, sometimes I'll think of something in my life that's not going the way I want, and then I'll have to remind myself, wait, have I restoried this? Have I rewritten this story about this particular thing? And usually the answer is no. So I'm surprised even for myself, as much as I know how well this works and how easy it is. I forget that sometimes I still put up with stuff I don't want for too long.
Right.
Before I realize I have the power over that. I change that, right?
Right. And I find it interesting also as you're talking about that, just thinking about the things that I've changed, the things that I've storied. But this morning, as I went through the meditation and was working in the Life Studio, which I do want you to talk a little bit about as well while we're here together today. But as I went through that, I thought, oh, there's all these areas where I can see myself saying these negative things to myself and not getting the results that I want right there. Now, last night, as we talked, you had said, you recommended to anyone who wanted to join us today to start with paying attention to what they're thinking about and to write down what they want. And I know as I would talk to a couple of our teammates this morning, that has proven to be a little bit challenging. And I know it was for me at the very beginning too. So could you address a little bit, like if you are trying to like, what do I want? But you're getting all of this, like, oh gosh, like, I don't know. It's just so heavy, but talk about
Yeah.
that a little bit.
Yeah. Well, the thing of it is, positive thinking is kind of a catchphrase, and it's kind of like we think it means one thing, but it doesn't. That mentor that I just was mentioning to you, he used to say, how do you know what you're thinking? By the results that you're getting. So sometimes we think we're thinking positively, or we think that we're thinking about what we want and we're not. And the way you can tell is by the result that you're getting. The result that you're getting is exactly what you're thinking about. So that's the first thing I want to just point out really quickly. The second thing is, you can just expect that as soon as you start to rewrite that story, because the story that you're telling, your brain already has taken that to be true, right? Like it already believes it. And as soon as you start to rewrite that, you're going to have all kinds of programming, subconscious programming that comes up from that place in the basement of your brain, in the basement of your mind, that is going to kick up some resistance to you. Okay. And partly that's because you, in order to achieve what you want through this process, you are going to have to change your vibration. And the reason you have what you have is because you're in a certain vibration. And so whenever you make that transition, there's going to be some kickback. So you can just expect it, and don't take it as a sign that something is wrong, or that there's something wrong with you, or that it's not possible. It's absolutely possible, but it's going to show you your stuff, because the reason you have what you have is because you're in a certain frequency in your body. It's the law of vibration, which is the secondary law to the law of attraction. Okay. So, you're vibrating at a certain frequency, and in order for you to get what you actually want, you have to shift that vibration. And in order for you to shift that, you're going to have to see it. You're going to have to see it. You're going to have to live it and observe it and see it for what it is, so that you can shift it. So, yeah. So when all of that stuff comes up, just like embrace it. Just say, oh, there it is. I see you. I know what that is.
And I love that you're saying that of just like embrace it and look at it, because I know when I first started this process with you, I had so much trash talk about even how I was doing it, or my inability to figure out what I wanted, or just like I felt so broken, so ruined in my life because of what I had done and what the results that I was getting from all of that. I felt like my thoughts were so ingrained in my brain that I could not, it was like a freight train going by, and no matter what I did, I could not get the train to go onto a different track, or even to build the track so it wouldn't just go screaming off into the ravine over and over again, But this beautiful thing that you're talking about is like,
well,
notice it.
Well, that's why we have that saying that we use in Life Studio. Isn't that interesting?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that interesting? Because it brings you to this place to look at your stuff without having to have judgment about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just interesting. Look at that. What is that? I mean, and honestly, I do this now. I still have, like last week, I was sitting in all kinds of, isn't that interesting? What's that? And it's because I've set another goal, or I'm working for something, bigger on this family restoration center, right? And so of course, like I'm always pushing that envelope of what I think is possible, about removing the limits from what's possible. Those limits are all in my human brain, right?
Right.
And so whenever you push that envelope, you push those limits of what's possible, you can expect to hear from that human brain. And there's a lot of chit chat, and that's one of the reasons we have so many tools to help you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think we're going to go into later, because it is true that as simple as it is, it's not that simple, right? As simple as it is, you get what you think about. We all know that's true. There's other factors that play into that, and you need some tools on how to work with that. So we've got some really great ones for you. I think we're going to talk about those later. So
yeah, no, that'll be That'll be fantastic. For those of you who are joining us, I'm seeing a few people starting to jump on. So if you're with us on Facebook, well, that's where you would be with us. Go ahead and comment in the comments if you have a question, or even if, you know, if you were with us last night and you started having an awareness of what you're thinking about, or if you're with us for the first time and now you're like, wait, what am I supposed to be thinking about, what I'm thinking about? So notice what it is that you're thinking about. Go ahead and give us some of those things. And also, if you went and said, this is what I want, that's what I really want you to put into those, because as we're going through here today, we want to talk about what you want and how you can actually shift your brain so that you can get it. So go ahead and add that there. As we are talking about this, so one of the things that you mentioned, isn't that interesting? And I love that you bring this up, because it is so non-judgmental. It's so peaceful. It's just such a great way of just being like, huh, that's interesting. I'm seeing this happen, and I'm seeing these thoughts that are coming through. And I know for myself, I don't know the day that it happened that my freight train thoughts stopped going into the ravine. But I do know that within a few weeks of that happening, that's when I really noticed that I wasn't on that same track anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it takes some practice. You know, it takes practice. One of the sayings we have in our family is from a CD that I made several years ago that's called, Is That What You Want? Because when you're talking about thinking about what you're, like, noticing what you're thinking about, you also need to notice what you're saying. Mm-hmm. Notice what you're saying. Because we have this saying in our family, like, you can never let any words come out of your mouth that you don't want to have. And that comes from this same mentor that I was telling you about. One day I was talking to him about, you know, chit-chatting about the weather, something totally not important and not relevant. And I said, I made some kind of negative comment about the weather, or something really stupid. And I remember he said, is that what you want? And I was like, no, that's not what I want. And he said, then don't say it. And after that, I kind of incorporated it as a brain download. So that anytime, and now because I've practiced it, anytime I have a thought that comes into my mind that I almost get ready to, like, I can catch it now before I say it. And sometimes if I say it on accident, I'll just delete it. I'm like, delete, like delete everything that just came out of my mouth, because I don't want, those words are powerful, right? And they're symbols of energy. And so if I ever say something I don't want, I just have to hurry and delete it so that it neutralizes it and does not begin that creative process, because as soon as you say it, it will start to manifest. So for example, here, one of the very common things to say, and it's not just here because it's all over, is I don't have money. Oh, I don't have money, right? And what does that produce? It produces
less money.
Everyone that says it has no money, right? And so, another thing that they say, just in their common, like even in their greeting, oh, it's difficult. Oh, it's difficult. They'll just always talk about it's difficult. Oh, it's not easy. Oh, that's what they say. It's not easy. And every time they say that, that becomes true. So even here, we started to teach these same principles that if it's not what you want, don't let it come out of your mouth, because you will create, because it's going to change your vibration, right? Your vibration's either going to go up or it's going to go down. Those are the only two places it's going to go. It's not even going to stay the same. So unless you're consciously practicing and working on raising your vibration, it's going to automatically go lower, which is the cause of the story I told in the beginning.
Right. And so, so when you're talking about this, so when I first started learning about this idea of vibration, I mean, it all sounds kind of woo woo as we're talking about that a little bit, but it makes sense also when you think about from the standpoint of words. When I speak words, and even across the continent, right? You hear, like, the words that I speak make a vibration in the air, which strikes your ear. And we've learned to interpret those sounds and those vibrations. as meaning. So when you consider that this is what you're doing, the vibration that you are creating with your words, like it's literal. It's very, very real. Yeah.
Right. And as soon as you switch it, you'll start getting different results.
Right.
Immediately.
Right.
Yes. And I know it sounds woo-woo, but that's just because it's new. Because the truth of the matter is it's cutting edge science.
Yeah. And it's
cutting edge science that everything is made of energy. So.
Right. Well, and we've known since forever that even atoms are nothing is perfectly still. And even I remember learning which was like a really long time ago in junior high, that even with the atoms on our solid table that we think is solid and still are actually moving at a very high rate. So there's a lot of movement that's occurring. So that's really powerful.
And that's how you can explain emotions, right? Because emotions are just also vibrations. Your thoughts are vibrations. Your emotions are made of vibrations. That's why you can even go be by somebody or in the same room with somebody who's really angry, and you'll start to feel angry. You know, or you'll start, or if you have people who, you probably have people you love to be around, right? Like you probably have people you love to be around because when you leave, you feel more energized. You feel like, yes, I got this. Like you feel more empowered. And then you've got other ones, like if somebody sends you a message or tries to call you, you see who is, and you're like, oh, I'll take that later. Right? Because it's because you kind of know that it's going to be a conversation it's going to shift your frequency and you're going to have to work harder.
Right.
You want to always be one of those people that people want to be around, right? Like make sure if you understand this concept, it's a game changer for you in every way.
Yeah. No, that is so powerful. Okay. So, so yesterday you shared with us a little bit about your story from the beginning of when you started learning these things. You started changing everything about your life. You were able to bring your home out of foreclosure, take your kids on vacation. Things were just like totally different. We went to Hawaii together. I know there were many other things that you did in your life that I didn't even see or know about. But I remember you just telling me story upon story upon story. It was so amazing. And I know also that we had done the Secret came out several years ago and brought in this idea of the law of attraction. And lots of people looked at that, but a lot of people said, oh, the Secret doesn't really work. And so talk a little bit about that. What has to be with the law of attraction to bring all of the things to actually bring it into existence?
Okay, so I'm really happy you brought that up because the very beginning, so The Secret came out in the 90s, right? Sometime.
I think so.
Yeah. So
no, I think it was early 2000s or maybe even in the 10s. I think it was only like 10 or ish years ago.
Right. Whatever you say. So here's the thing. So people, so that kind of made the law of attraction kind of popular, but people have been studying that and learning that for a long time. It's in the scriptures, for crying out loud. So it's not anything that's a new thought. And in the very beginning of this quarantine, in this global situation, as we called it yesterday, I started to watch what was going on in the news and in the world. And I thought, holy Hannah, we got to get control of what we're thinking about and what we're talking about and what we're saying, because how this goes is going to be determined by people and what we say about it. And the thing of it is when you utilize these principles in a group, it's amplified, right? So the more people that are talking about the same thing or that are afraid of the same thing, it's going to make it bigger. It's going to grow. Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, right. I mean, have we seen that? Yes. So in the very beginning of that, I was like, this is going to be disastrous if we don't get a hold of our brains. And so for myself also, I decided to go back to some of the classics, some of the great authors that I had studied over the years, from Genevieve Barron, who's the woman I was studying when I wrote the LifeStory program, Napoleon Hill, Wallace Wattles wrote the book, The Science of Getting Rich, that's about how your money and becoming wealthy is a science. It's a science. Like if you understand the principles and you follow the rules of the science, there's no way it doesn't work. There's no way it doesn't work. And so The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale, he made that recording in the 50s. So these are people that over time, like from the early 1900s, even the 1800s, we're getting ready to study As a Man Thinketh by James Allen next week. And so these are all the classic mental scientists, basically. And so we put together a mastermind group where we could we're all super busy. So none of us need, really long reading assignments, and they're not long books, but they are very powerful and very packed with the truth of it. And so even for me, and I've studied this and I've utilized it, and I think I'm pretty decent at it. I learned a ton in that group. So we called it the Inner Circle Mastermind Group, and it's some of my friends, we got together. I made study guides to go with the books that we were reading. We just had small assignments each week, and then we'd have a discussion and we would record it. One of the biggest things I've gotten across all of the things we've studied so far since, we started this at the beginning of April, is that the place that we get hung up on is, you guys ready for this? Okay, so when implemented correctly, the law of attraction, you only have to know the finished picture. You don't have to know how to do it. And that's the place where we get hung up, because I want to do this, but then your brain automatically switches in how to do it and how am I going to do it? And then it'll kick in with, oh, that's impossible. What about this? What about that? What about this? What about that? And then you get distracted on that. And when you get distracted on that, you start picturing that you don't have it.
Mm. That is so powerful. Yeah.
So powerful.
To know
so powerful.
We only need to know the finished picture. That's the part where we create that vision of what it is that we want. And Becky, I know this to be true. I've done this in the last year. So I set some goals last year of some projects that I wanted to do in my yard. And then throughout the year, as I've walked around my yard, I try to walk around my yard each day. And as I walk around the yard, I would see the finished project. And I had no idea how it was going to happen. I almost stubbornly clung to the picture. I did not have a ton of hope behind it as far as I knew it would happen, but I did not know if it would happen anytime soon. And when I wrote it down as a goal, I first wrote down, I want to put in a play yard. And then, I put in a play yard.
Question.
Sorry, what's that?
Sorry, somebody was asking me a question and then I cut out. So I missed that last piece.
No, just as I was just sharing my experience of walking around my yard and looking and seeing, almost stubbornly clinging to that picture, even though I didn't have a ton of hope. It looks like we may have, maybe you turned off your video. We may have lost you, your video. I'm just gonna look at that really quick. Okay, well, hopefully we'll get you right back. But as I did that this year, there you are. As I did that this year, going through, just walking around my yard, looking at that picture, even when I wrote it down, I have a play yard in my backyard, and I had a picture of it in my mind, exactly what I wanted it to look like. But then after I wrote it down, I thought, there's no way I can do that as an annual goal. I'm going to have to do that as a 5-year goal. So I just put in parentheses, this is a 5-year goal. But you know what? Before the 1 year was up, everything presented itself perfectly in alignment, and we put in the backyard. And it was amazing because I didn't have a how. There was no, if I thought about it, I would get stressed out of how am I going to do this? I had no idea how I was going to do it. And so I stopped thinking about the how entirely, just stubbornly clinging to the vision of that. And I think that's what Genevieve Barron talks about, when you hold it with your will. You hold it with your will, and your will can be fairly stubborn as you're doing that. You don't have to know how to do that. You're just going to hold that with your.
Yeah, because that's where we get off. And then we think we're thinking about our goal, but we're not. We're thinking about that we don't have our goal.
Yeah, right.
And that is the secret of the secret. It's the secret.
I love
That Earl Nightingale calls the strangest secret.
So you mentioned the inner circle, and
Yes.
I know I have a link for that, and I'm going to actually post that into the comments. But tell us about the offer that you have right now for the inner circle.
Okay, so the offer that we have right now for the inner circle, because of global situation, I want everybody who wants to play here to be able to access this. And so it is, you can try it for $1. The link that I gave Brenda is, you can sign up. It's $1. You get to the first 2 weeks free access. Right now, I said we are just finishing up You Were Born Rich by Bob Proctor. I can tell you this, you can go and just read these books on your own, but when you do it in a group, because of what I said earlier about when you do things, you know, in a community, that is amplified, the power of it. Everybody in that group has shifted major things over the course of these 3 or 4 months. And then we're getting ready this upcoming week. We're going to be going into James Allen. But so we've done all of those books. So if you opt into the inner circle, those are all of those resources are on. They're all online. Like we put it in an on basically, so you can access everything that we've already done. So you can do it on your own. You can do it later. You can where we are. I'd suggest you jump in where we are because, and then do those, you know, fill in those back ones on your own as you come, because number one, you'll keep moving with us. And even if you're not a reader, okay, even if you're not a reader, you don't think of yourself as that way, or you don't have time to do it, I tell everybody in the inner circle, come to our meetings anyway. And if you can't make the meeting, we record it and I send out the replay link. And we have a Facebook group so that we can communicate, and we have discussions during the week about what we're studying, and then we cheer for each other because people are bringing stuff in. So even if you don't have a chance to read it, come, because you will still learn it, and you'll still be in that group of powerful manifestors, and that will help you just by itself. So recap. $1, you get to come in, try it for the first 2 weeks for free. After that, it's $27 a month.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. $27 a month. My gal who is marketing for me, she's like, Becky, that's ridiculous because of all of the work that I put into it. Oh, and by the way, in each of those books, there's an ebook. So you don't even have to buy the book. You don't have to buy the book. There's an audio version link to it. That's in there. So if you prefer an audio book than an ebook or a paper book, that's an option for you. And then there's a study guide that goes with it. And then we have our discussions and Facebook group. So it's power packed. Like if that $27 a month got you everything you wanted in your life.
It's very inexpensive and it is really powerful. I know I just joined the group
right?
about a month ago, and it's fantastic to be a part of the mastermind. And when I can't come live for whatever reason, being able to jump in and watch the replay, but then still have a virtual discussion. It's so valuable. It's just so valuable to be able to do that. And I have been seeing so many things starting to shift again in my life, which, I feel like when I reached some really lofty goals that I had set for myself. We got into our home, this is our dream home. At least it's my dream home. My husband is so sweet to live here with me, but I love it. And he, and he loves it too.
Right.
But, for a little while I was like, this is awesome. This is awesome. But then I started thinking, what am I doing? Like, what do I want to do next? What else is possible? What else can I create, or and how can I help other people like on my team to be able to create more of what they want? And so I love that you're offering that. This is a wonderful opportunity. I've put that information into the comments here on Facebook. And so you guys can jump in and grab that. It is an awesome opportunity if you'd like to be a part of that.
Awesome.
So, all right. I was trying to chat something to my son Harrison, and it kept saying ask to unmute. So I'm going to give Harrison a little bit of a heads up because he's here with us on Zoom. He's in the airport. And so I would love for Harrison, for you to share a little bit of your story and what it is that you're trying to accomplish. And then Becky, if you would just be willing to have a conversation with him, maybe give him a little coaching around things or whatever happens when we do that. So Harrison, I'm going to hit the ask to unmute button. We're going to bring you on. Harry did not know he was going to be a featured guest this morning.
He's a good sport.
He is a good sport.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we've got you.
Awesome. So what do you want me to talk about?
So Harrison has an awesome story. Harry, tell Becky what you're doing right now. What's happening?
Speak to me, man.
I spent the last couple of weeks working at a seafood processing plant in Southeast Alaska. Yesterday, I was working my shift, cutting fish. And during this whole process, like over the last couple of months, I've been thinking a lot about, you know, this whole mindset thing and thinking and creating your own story and, you know, how to get what you want in life. And you know, thanks to the pandemic, I've had lots of downtime to read good books and listen to seminars and things like that. So I've really been digging deep and thinking about how to improve the results in my life. And anyway, while I've been working at this seafood processing plant, you know, it's pretty loud in there. So I just put my headphones in and listen to good books and seminars and things like that. And I've become really thoroughly convinced that, you know, what we become in life and what happens in our life is basically the product of our way of thinking. And you're absolutely right when you say that it's something that happens just instantly. You know, I remember, you know, over these last couple of weeks, some of these days I've been working, you know, for 16 hours a day, you know, 7 days a week. And, you know, when you're working that hard, it's really easy to, you know, get down on yourself and be like, man, this is terrible and things like that. And when I found myself thinking those kinds of thoughts, I'd catch myself and I'd start talking out loud about what I wanted to have. So instead of just trying to change what I'm thinking about, I would change what I'm thinking about by starting to talk about what I wanted to talk about. And it was really loud in there, so it wasn't like anybody could hear me. But as I did that, I noticed that everything changed in my mind. Like I started working faster, I started feeling better and things like that. And so then yesterday, while I was working, I had one of those moments where I was having some negative thoughts, and then I started saying my positive things. And I had a thought come into my mind to give a presentation about service. And so I'm on the 26th of this month, I'm going to be giving a presentation about service, and that's about all I know at this point. So right after I had that thought come into my mind, I quit my job, bought a plane ticket to Salt Lake, and moving forward like that. So that's kind of what I'm doing right now.
That is awesome. That is awesome. So you guys, did you hear what he said about whenever he started to feel bad about himself, or he started to, he had that same chit chat that we talked about in the beginning, right?
Exactly.
Like he's creating an image of what he wants, right? And then, and as soon as that comes up, he gets that like mental attack, right? With all of those voices that say, oh, why do you think you can do that? And that's partly just because, you know, there are powers that don't want you to succeed. And then that's partly just stuff that's in your subconscious mind that gets thrown up because it gets thrown up. That's a really great metaphor, because it's, because you're going to have to move that out in order to move to that higher vibration to get what you want. And so you have to be able to look at it and see it and work through it. And then, and then you can move forward with it. So that's the first thing that stands out to me about your story. One of the other really powerful things is, in the book, in our inner circle that we are just finishing, You Were Born Rich by Bob Proctor, he has a chapter that we actually studied and discussed last week called The Razor's Edge. And in that, he talks about how the difference between success and failure, the difference between first and second place, usually is very, very small. It's the razor's edge, right? It's it's like it's a little bit of effort, but it's a huge amount of success difference. Does that make sense? So
Yeah.
just like the littlest thing difference is going to create the hugest result. And so in your story, the thing that you did there was, while everybody else is okay, and also it has to do with what you do compared to what other people do. Okay, other people around you. So how many people in that plant where you were working do you think are listening to seminars and audiobooks, and like how many of them do you think are feeding their brain and growing that while they're at work in the same amount of hours that you're working?
I know of at least one. There's a Ukrainian guy, and I was talking to him, and he asked me if I listened to music, and I said, "Oh, I listen to audiobooks and seminars." And then he was like, "Oh, what books do you like to listen to?" And I was like, "Oh, Think and Grow Rich." And he was like, "Oh, I'm listening to Think and Grow Rich right now." I was like, "Nice." So
of course
there's at least one, but I don't think there was many more.
Right. So that's an example, because for you, you're spending that time anyway, doing the same thing that everybody else is doing around you, but you are making a little bit more effort that is going to pay a huge dividend to you. The difference between, if you looked at everybody that's working at that job that you're doing right now in 10 years, the difference between you is going to be like night and day, unrecognizable. Okay, here's another thing of what he just told. Here's another, okay, this is so cool. So his friend is also reading Think and Grow Rich. So this is the cool thing about that law of vibration is, and why it's so scientifically accurate, right? Because things that vibrate in alignment with each other, they attract each other. Like one vibration attracts another of the same vibration. Okay, that's one of the laws. It's the law of, that's part of the law of vibration. And so that's why when you raise your vibration, you can't help but get better situations and attract better things to yourself. Okay, so here he is. Here, picture this: in this whole plant of people who are working, doing the same job, the two guys that are reading the same book, what did they do? They attracted each other, right? So that he has a conversation with somebody that's reading the same book he is, because they're on the same vibration. Just wanted to point that out, because that's so cool. And that's how it works. The same reason you guys even had that conversation is the same reason that you will bring to yourself all of the success that you are visualizing and imagining right now.
I just want to say one other thing real quick about the, this attraction and vibration thing. So as part of my goals for the summer, so Napoleon Hill says that if you want to achieve something, you got to write down, what you want, when you want it, and, write down what you intend to give in return for it. And so I speak Russian. And when I wrote down what I intended to give in return for this goal I'm trying to reach by the end of the summer, one of the things I wrote down was that I was going to give services of Russian translation and interpretation. And when I wrote that down, I had no idea on how that was going to happen. I, didn't really know any Russian people around where I was living. I didn't really know, how to get a job as a translator or whatever. And anyway, I get to the seafood processing job. I get here, and there's lots of people from Central and South America, but there's nobody from Russia. So there wasn't any of that going on. But then, a couple of weeks into this thing, and after reading this statement day after day after day, telling, God or the universe or whatever you believe the higher power out there to be, that, I was going to give services as, a Russian translator and interpreter out there. A plane load of people showed up from Ukraine and Moldova, Russian speakers. Many of them did not speak English. And so I found myself, over the last week or so, being the plant translator for some of these Ukrainians and Moldovan guys. And, that to me is just like a big testament to that this stuff really, really works.
It's the science.
It really is. There are definite laws that govern the universe. Some of them are very tangible, like the laws of physics. We can talk about that, because I'm studying physics that's my major. But a lot of the laws are intangible, and if you find a way to subject yourself to them favorably, you can make them do basically whatever you want. I mean, you know, I just got off a plane, and I'm here in a couple hours, I'm getting on another plane. You know, plane that takes me up 30,000 feet in the air, and the law of gravity still applies, but there are other laws at work here. So it's all about just finding the way to favorably subject yourself to the laws. Anyway, that's pretty much all I wanted to say.
And knowing how to play by those rules, right? If you know the rules, because those rules are in play no matter what you're doing. You're creating what you're saying, whether you like it or not, whether you know it or not. Those rules are already in play. So it makes sense to get really conscious about learning those rules so that they can help you win, right? Which is what you're doing. So the other thing that we talked about in our inner circle, either last week or the week before, was, and this goes back to Brenda's question earlier, that has to do with when you are, well, let me see how I can even phrase this. It'll make sense. In order to hold the picture and not lose it, okay, going back to that idea, how to hold that picture of that you have it, the faith that you need to hold that picture, this is the second piece of that secret, okay? The faith that you need is just the faith and trust that everything is going to arrange itself for you, and you don't have to know how to do it, okay? So not only do you not have to know how to do it, you just have to hold the picture and trust that everything is gonna line up for you. And Harrison, the thing that I love about your story is your complete and utter trust in that. So because you've been doing all of those things, because you're holding your picture, and because you're following everything that you've learned in that book. And by the way, we're coming up on Think and Grow Rich. We had to start with some other things first to kind of just set a backdrop for some of the people who are newer to this kind of thinking, but we are coming, like, Think and Grow Rich is what we are working towards. And I think we'll be there probably in about a month. We'll be starting Think and Grow Rich. Anyway, yeah. So being able to hold that image and being able to trust that everything's going to line itself up for you, which is what you did. That's why you just quit your job and just caught a plane without knowing what you're going to do. Right?
Yep.
Because if you have that kind of trust and that kind of faith in God, universe, higher power, what you call it, then that's all you have to know. You have to know that and add that with your picture, and that's it. You don't have to know how to do it. You don't have to know how to figure it out. That's it. So for me, sometimes this is how I've done it in the past. Like, I'll set my goal, I'll make my picture, and then I'll sit down and I'll write, okay, these are all the things I need to do, right? And sometimes that's great, because whenever you're going to have those kinds of impressions come into you, like you did, like, go home and get ready for this other thing, right? But you have to just make sure that when you do that, you don't shift your picture to the fact that you don't have it. Mm-hmm. That's the trick to it. That's it.
Keep the picture. And I love that too. And back to the yard story, that was like, even right before everything came together and we got the yard, I had this like almost a meltdown inside of myself of like, I'm never going to get what I want, right? Because I feel like as you come close to it, you start to have some of that. And I stopped myself from that. And I was like, no, I don't know when it's going to happen, but I am going to get what I want. And within a week of that experience, everything came together and I had exactly what I wanted. So I love that you're bringing that up too, because the picture, like, it's so easy to shift that look, that scene in your mind of like, this is what I want, but it's not there. And that's what we're not going to focus on that. You have to just continue to see it, and trust that it is coming. It's coming into play with that.
Well, one of the things that we studied also in one of those books, see what I mean? Like this group, seriously, you guys, it's so powerful. One of the other stories that he told in that book was of a guy in a sales position who every single month he set this huge goal that he wanted to hit. And every month he would look at his stats. And every month, so he thought he was picturing his goal, but really he was looking at his stats, and the stats didn't support his goal.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Right. Yes.
And so for months, he did this thinking he was holding his picture, but the picture he was holding was that he was missing his goal. And that's what he imagined every single month, him missing his goal. And so I think Bob Proctor worked with him. They tweaked a couple things in his brain about it. And sure enough, like the very next month, he totally hit it, because he was performing exactly what he was thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And exactly what he was talking about. But he was letting the statistics on the page, his sales report, dictate the picture that he was imagining. So I know for people, you know, in direct sales kinds of businesses, or in any business, any business goal you have, this is a tricky thing to navigate, right? Because you got to bridge that gap between what you perceive as reality right here and your real reality.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I love that. Okay, we are getting to the end of our time together, and thank you so much for spending time with us. But talk to us just a little bit. I want you to tell us just briefly about the power of. I know that you have the LifeStory transformation course, and you have the Life Studio course, and there's a lot of different things that are there. And I know that we don't have enough time for you to explain everything. But just briefly tell us about, like if someone were to want to get started, like where would you have them start, and kind of what would be the path maybe of going through to like start changing your mind?
Okay. So this is funny, because just even yesterday I was thinking about how like becoming a black belt, like that's a process, right? You start off with the white belt, then you move to yellow and all of that. So I was thinking about that in terms of how to become a master of mental manifestation, or mindful manifestation, actually is probably what I should call it. And so I would say, depending on where you're at, for sure the place I would start is with that Inner Circle study group, because it's $27 a month. It's easy peasy. It'll change your life totally. If you want to play a little bit more than that, I actually have, okay, so I'm trying to think how is the best way to do this, because we have so many things that you can do. I don't want to make it complicated. Okay, so here's the deal. So I gave Brenda the other link to my membership vaults, and I have two. It's the same link. There's the Body Talk vault, and there is the LifeStory Transformation vault. Okay, so LifeStory Transformation vault has the LifeStory program in it. It also has the Life Studio course in it. Now, the LifeStory Transformation program usually I sell that for $300, and the Life Studio course I sell for $1,000, because it's a master course. It's a deal. But you can access it in that vault for $47 a month, and it includes also the Inner Circle. So you could, for another $20. Is this not ridiculous?
It is ridiculous.
For another $20, you can get it all.
And that is so fantastic. So I'm putting that link now also into the Facebook group.
Yes.
Comments. I don't know. I'm totally lost now. I can't even find the comments. But I will, and I'll put that in there. There it is. Okay, so this is for the vault. And this includes...
That's the LifeStory Transformation Vault. Now, there is also, let me tell you a couple of free things that you can do, okay? So I think yesterday we talked, no, we didn't talk about it yesterday. So I don't do it every week, but I do it most weeks. I started it also with the global situation to help people just manage their mood working through all of this stuff, because I don't know about y'all, but everybody's stuff is up right now, right? Everybody's stuff is up. Like everybody is doing their personal work, whether they like it or not, faster than is comfortable for anyone. So I started doing some free body talk sessions. in a group session. And so if you want to be included in that, I just need your email address and I'll add you to my list so that when I send out an email to announce those. Like the next one is going to be Thursday. I know you guys have another call, but I send out the replay. So if you want that replay to check out a little bit more about Body Talk. So LifeStory Transformation is made up of 3 main tools. The first one is Body Talk, which is a way to shift the energy in the body and to clean out all that stuff that comes up when you go through this process. Okay, so that's one of the main tools. The second one is LifeStory, the LifeStory program. And the third one is Life Studio. So it's those 3 things. So you can play with any one of them and it will change your life. If you implement all of them, it'll blow your mind. It'll blow your mind.
It is true.
Am I right?
It is true.
Am I right? Okay. So, but I want to make it as easy for everybody. So I've been doing that free session. I do it probably 3 out of 4 weeks, probably. And then I have to kind of let everybody catch up. Like I have to let everybody's bodies catch up to all the processing that they're doing. And I got to do my laundry and stuff like that. Like I have to do my own catch up. If you're interested in being included on that, then I just need email and then I'll send you the announcement. I'll send you the replay. Okay. Easy peasy. It's free.
And I've included comments. If you want to have free group Body Talk sessions, reply to this comment and I will get in touch with you. I actually forgot that I was going to make a form where you could put your email in, but I will have one for you. We will get you added to Becky's email list so that you can take advantage of those free Body Talk sessions. And they are awesome. You think it's like, here Becky's doing this as a service to the whole world. So take advantage of it because it is amazing to be a part of it and to be able to clear that energy out. And you can feel stuff just like moving out of your body and you just feel better. You just feel better and you just do better in your life and your business and everything that you're trying to accomplish.
Yep, it's true. It's true. And then the other thing is if you're interested, you don't know anything about Body Talk, you're like, I don't even know what that is. At that same link as the vaults, there is a free course that I also created in the beginning of global situation called Body Talk for Beginners. And it just kind of explains what it is, how it works, why it works, and a little bit of the language that we use so that, because anytime you learn something new, you have to go through a period of time of not knowing what you're doing, right? Right. Till you get good at it. I don't even know what that is. And so it's something you can do in like a couple of hours, like on a Sunday or something like that. It's not any rocket science or anything, but it just kind of gives you some information about it and how it works. And then there are also some free sessions in there that you can also take advantage of. So, so you can go sign up for that totally for free. Yeah, so that's it. Inner Circle, $27 a month, but you can try it for $1 for the first 2 weeks. Or you can sign up in the LifeStory Transformation Vault for $47 a month and get it all. And it includes some other things too. Also included in that one, as you write your life story, you're going to have your stuff come up like we talked about. So we actually have another mastermind that is also included in that membership where we do a session, we do a Body Talk session to clear anything in the way of your life story manifesting. We do that every week. And that's also a fantastic mastermind group too. So, and you don't have to do all of it because if you were to do all of it, you'll probably be overwhelmed. Because we've kind of like built up to it. Right. But you have access to it, so you can come into one thing anytime you want, go out. Like anyway, it's just a sweet deal. Like I've tried to make it possible for everyone.
Right. And I love that you've done that, and you really are making a difference in such powerful ways. For those of you who were with us yesterday, you also saw the project that she's working on, the Family Restoration Center, which we really haven't talked about much today, but we did talk about it for about 30 minutes yesterday. She told us some stories of families that they're helping. She's there on site right now, sitting in the garden at the Family Restoration Center. And is there anything just briefly that you want to share about that before we wrap it up? Otherwise, I'm going to send them back to that 34-minute one from yesterday so they can learn about that and how to donate to the project that you're working on.
Yes. So yes, thank you. So this is our baby right now, our family. We're working on this. I saw this property first 2.5 years ago. And when I saw it, it was just a seed of a thought that we wanted to do a women's center or a rescue center for women coming out of trauma. Didn't really know any more about it than that. And I saw this property. It's the same thing, right? You get in a vibration, you attract the thing that is part of your future. But when I saw it, I was like, that's cool, impossible. And I dismissed it for a year. I didn't do anything about it. And then some of you, I don't know if I talked about it yesterday, but about my, every now and then I have a little meeting with God about what am I doing? Can you just remind me what I'm doing here again? Like what we're doing, what do you need? What do you need from us? Right? So I had one of those, and he brought it back up, and he's like, go back and check out this place again. So I came back and I looked at it again, still totally impossible. Only this time, I've been doing some work, right? And I'm like, okay, I know that those limitations are in me. And so I spent 8 months last year just working on my vision and my mental capacity to not think that this was an impossible project. And now fast forward another year, we are 76% funded on the price of the property, and the renovation is already underway. So here's the deal with this project. We want to just have it paid off by the end of the month. So we are just doing a massive push on that. So because then we can just move ahead with all of the programs. We have 4 women that I talked about on the other thing that are waiting to come here. For starters, and our social worker says as soon as it's up, we will have more people than we know what to do with, and we'll be turning people away. So it's really important that we get as much of this going as quickly as possible. But here's the thing, that doTERRA, this is a Healing Hands project approved. And for the next couple of weeks, we'd love to do it like within a week, get the doTERRA match done, because then we can focus on the rest. Because then we'll be super, super close. But the Healing Hands, so the first, I think it's $13,000 of this project, whatever we raise is going to be matched by doTERRA. So if you are inclined at all to make a donation to this project, if you do it soon, it will be matched by doTERRA. So we want to just throw that out there, because we would so appreciate, we are so close, you guys, and it's such a miracle, and it's all from these things that we've talked about and that we have studied. And literally, I've done the same process that we've been talking about to bring us to this point, like coming up to the property to visit it, even when we weren't, and just imagining what we would do with it and what it looks like. And the tree swing goes here, and this is over here, and this is what it looks like when this part's done, and just imagining all of it has brought us to this point of total miracles. Someday I should tell the story of this project.
Yes.
When I can laugh about it, I will tell the story about this project, because it is incredible. And here's the thing, and I mentioned this yesterday, that I know that as you're trying to get things going in your own life, and it's important to give even just a little bit, even if it's $5, even if it's $10, like on a regular, because it helps you feel like you have extra. It'll change the vibration in your body.
Right.
It'll change the vibration in your body. And then there's also God, right? So there's also that. So when you get involved in this kind of work, and it doesn't have to be this project. I mean, if it is this project, great, because we would love to have you on board. We would love that, because you'll see it. You're going to see it unfold. You can watch it. Literally, I was thinking about this. I need to make a post about this. But literally, except for the doTERRA match that won't get matched until it's all finished, when people donate to Families Mentoring Families today, you will see what we did with your money tomorrow. Like, it'll be on Facebook. We'll post it. Like, you'll know what we did with your money immediately, because we have stuff going on, like a lot of things. So that's the first thing. Maybe that's the only thing.
Yeah.
Did I cover it? So yeah, Family Restoration Center, doTERRA match. Just help us get the word out, and just pray for us.
Right. Right. And donate if you can, if you feel inclined. If that's the thing that you are doing right now, then definitely put it in, because it's a very powerful. Okay, I am posting the link for the donation right now. Some questions are coming.
Please help us share. Yeah.
property, Linda, thank you for your question on that. The property is in Ghana. Is there a more specific answer that you would like to give on that?
Yes. So this property is about 12 miles outside of downtown Kumasi. It's so magical. Oh man, it's so magical. You know, I am gonna do a full tour. So maybe when I do that, we talked about that yesterday, Brenda. Maybe when I do that, you can have that too, so that people can kind of see in more detail what we're doing and what we're working on. It's in Kumasi. It's just outside Kumasi. We also, I mentioned yesterday that we're working with the social workers for Operation Underground Railroad, and they are planning also to use this facility for their aftercare in Ghana, which is another reason why we have such an urgent need, because they have people who have already been rescued that are just waiting for the borders to open before they can come home. They can come back to their home. They can be reunited with their children and their families. And so we are feeling a huge urgency around it.
Yeah.
Which is why the big push, right? The big push. And this is why even doTERRA, like when we approached them on this project, they funded in December another matching campaign for this project. And so this one's just going to bring it home. So we were so excited that they would do it again. They would fund our project again. But this partnership, we're all becoming more aware of this situation with human trafficking, right? And it's a lot of work. It's a lot of care to provide that aftercare. It's sadly, it's not an easy thing. Even when they come back home, they have a long road. They have to have some place where they feel safe. This place is so beautiful. It's so beautiful. And right now we are just finishing up the wall. We had some parts of the wall that were broken that we had to replace and repair. And then we've added a gate on the back so that we have double access. And all of those things are things that when I came in, I didn't know how we were going to do them. And it just happened. Just like Harrison was talking about. Well, I can tell you how it happened. Like we had a hole in the wall, and then one day it rained really hard and another section of the wall fell out. So it's like, I guess we're doing that today. So I got on Facebook and I said, you guys, I got workers here who are ready to pour concrete tomorrow. I've got no concrete. So I cannot go to bed until we fundraise $800 so that they have the materials when they wake up in the morning. And literally that stupid stunt of mine raised us that money that we needed to make that to repair that piece of the wall.
Well,
So,
and I just think it's so powerful that, I mean, you know, the ask and ye shall receive. And it really is like we ask God, but we also ask each other, because there are so many people who want to give, who have the means to give, but who don't know, or they want to be able to give in a way where their giving is actually 100% being used for the project, which is the case when you're giving through doTERRA's Healing Hands Foundation. 100% of your donation goes to the project. So yeah, thank you so much again for spending some time with us today. Thank you, Harrison, for being our surprise guest this morning.
Yeah, Harrison, that's awesome. I can't wait to hear how that turns out. I'm going to be watching. I will expect a report.
Yes, so do be watching. We will announce more about that he has a presentation on service on the 26th. We'll have more details about that coming up. And thank you again, Becky. And those of you who are giving, I see email addresses coming in. And so we'll make sure that you get connected to Becky's email. And I'll put up a form also, so you don't have to just plaster your email on. It is a private group, and I think a lot of people in the group do have each other's emails, but I'd love to make that more private for everyone.
Also, Harrison, I have some other Russian translation contacts for you.
Okay.
I'll send those along too.
All right, sounds good.
Excellent. Very cool.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, all of you. Thank you. Thank you, those of you who are able to join us, those of you who are catching it on the replay, hashtag replay if you are catching it on the replay for us. And keep thinking, bring in those thoughts and bring in those things that you are wanting. Focus your thought, focus your will on the picture, the finished picture, and have faith that everything will come together for you.
The picture. That's
Yes.
the important part.
The picture.
Love
Yeah.
you guys.
Thank you so much. See you later, Becky.
See ya.